Hey guys, today I want to talk about being an integrated person. So we hear the term, he is a person of integrity. But what does that actually mean? What does it mean to be a person who is one of integrity or who is integrated? Well, to be integrated, if you're a number, means to be a whole number, whole or complete. That's what we call an integral number, if you remember that from elementary school. And I think it means the same for humans, that we are whole, we are complete when we are integrated. A synonym for this might be the word mature, someone who is whole, someone who is full. We are ripe, if you will. And I also like the synonym for an integrated person as someone who is sound. Sound meaning they might look like an adult on the outside. And guess what? They're an adult on the inside as well. It's through and through. This definition, when we talk about someone who is integrated, elicits the idea of someone who is honest and genuine. Indeed, people who are integrated are honest with themselves because someone who is integrated has no denial. So let's talk about denial for a minute. Denial is a type of self-deception where we do not allow ourselves to think about certain things or feel certain feelings. It could be denial of something that's happened, like an event such as childhood abuse, or we could solely be in denial of our feelings. For example, if we don't really love someone and we're in denial of that, or we don't actually feel respect toward that person, but we're in denial. When we are in denial, we are dissociating from our true feelings. And this makes us sequester off a part of ourselves from our whole self, and we become disintegrated. Someone who is integrated is someone who feels all their feelings and has complete harmony between their mind, their feelings, and their body. For example, people who talk about all their feelings are actually coordinating their feelings, their mind, and their body when they're talking about them, when they're sharing them and putting them into words. Now, remember that emotions are made to elicit motion. That's why the word motion is primarily in the word emotion. Our emotions are designed to move us toward health. And when a person coordinates their emotions with their thoughts and their actions, they're acting in a fully integrated way. This might entail having a difficult conversation with someone or making a difficult decision. So being integrated, I'm not going to lie, it's not easy and it takes work, but it is always good. And we feel it in our mind and our body because we are living in a way where we are 100% true to ourselves. Research, and I've spent a lot of time on this podcast talking about research, shows that an integrated person is much less likely to suffer physical or mental illness as a result of being integrated. Denial requires constant work because we have to constantly reinforce a narrative that actually contradicts reality. And integrated people don't live in any denial. And so they're free from all this unnecessary labor and have nothing to hide. You know, this makes me think of a great quote that I'm going to borrow from the 12-step community. You might be familiar with it. They say, "You are only as sick as your secrets." And I think this applies here. Disintegrated people find their sequestered emotions leak out, and that can make for a lot of messes. For example, people who have hidden hatred, that often leaks out in what we call microaggressions, which can require a lot of damage control if you haven't experienced that yourself. So if we choose instead to have an integrated approach to feelings of hatred for someone, we're not going to judge our feelings. We're not going to be in denial of those feelings of hatred toward that person, but we're going to engage our mind to understand and discern, why do I feel hatred for this person? And it might be a trigger for us. It might be something from our own past, and we can, understand that and have self-awareness around that. Or it might be something about that person actually that really does disgust us. And then we're going to engage our body and our actions by having a big fat boundary with that person, if that is true. Instead of being passive aggressive with someone, which again causes a lot of damage ultimately, and is a disintegrated way of acting out, instead, we are going to acknowledge that we have anger towards someone and that it's valid. And then we're going to seek with our mind to understand, why am I angry? Is this my own trigger? Am I bringing something to this? Or is this really legit that this person is really doing something wrong? And then we're going to engage our body and act accordingly, possibly by confronting that person or bringing about accountability or having a boundary. I have a recent personal example to share of being integrated with you. So I found myself woken up in the middle of the night not long ago, and I had pretty intense lower back pain. And I also, when I awakened, had just awakened from a dream, and the dream was about a friend of mine who I realized in the dream was actually betraying me. And so I knew that my back pain was associated with all of this. So the next day when I got up, I wrote out my thoughts and feelings about this friend to her in a fantasy letter, just for me to understand, to kind of get a cohesive, coherent understanding of her betrayal, of my feelings, of everything in one place, which was really helpful. And that actually significantly relieved my lower back pain, but not completely. So I talked about my feelings with another friend, and that helped as well, but I still had residual lower back tension. So finally, after much thought, I decided to edit my fantasy letter to the friend and actually share it with her to hold her accountable. And you can imagine, as soon as I did that, my lower back pain completely ameliorated. It was gone. So I was true to myself. I engaged my mind, my feelings, and my body in a way that was true to me. And it was actually also true to this friend. Even though it wasn't easy, I'm sure, to read what I wrote, it was good because it is true. Integrated people are much less likely to suffer from headaches, from vertigo, from autoimmune disorders, from digestive disorders, from insomnia, as well as depression and anxiety. But you know what I like most about integrated people? They are refreshing to be around. There is no guesswork. What you see is what you get. You don't have to wonder what they're really thinking or feeling. And they keep it real. And you know what else? They feel really alive. And their passion for life is often contagious. So, what do you say, friend? Will you join me in this adventure toward becoming a whole integrated person? It's not always easy, but it is always good. And another great saying I'm going to quote: the truth will really set you free. And being an integrated person is very, very liberating. So come join me. Thanks for listening today. Please share this with a friend and subscribe to my podcast.